Good evening, YouTube. HeirofCarthage here, and welcome back to some more Total War Warhammer 2. Now, I apologize. I had a couple of days where I wasn't feeling great, needed to take a little break. I did, and so I'm way behind on the beginning of my Wood Elf week. In fact, I haven't even gotten to play another battle since the last time I did. Actually, I think I did, but they weren't real great, so I haven't filmed those ones. But in any case, I have a battle for you here. This is actually not me. This was submitted by Dov Plays, so quality assured, and especially so since he's got Dutch Skink with him, a couple of quality members of our community. So appreciate Dog Plays. He makes his own content. You all need to go check it out. And then Dutch Skink, thank you for always being a part of the Discord community and the videos here. So we're going to see the Wood Elves with Durthu, and their army is going to be a mix. It is a mix with a good chunk of anti-large, a good chunk of anti-infantry. Durthu has the ability to summon some feral manticores, and then he's also got the Sword of Daith, which is kind of an infantry buster. So you're going to see, like I said, kind of a nice, well-rounded approach to the Wood Elves here. A little bit of skirmishing back here with one Hagbane Tiff, one Starfire Shaft, and then there is a Sisters of the Thorn. They have Curse of Honor Air bound to them, as well as Shield of Thorns. It can be quite handy. The infantry, there's going to be 4 Dryads, and I believe 4 Eternal Guard. Sorry, make that 5. So 5 Eternal Guard, and then there is a Branch Wraith that has Penumbral Pendulum and Healing. He's right over here on that tree. He's very well camouflaged. He's amongst his own. And then the major anti-large component is a War Dancer with Azrae Spear, and then the Wardens of Sithral, who are also on the battlefield hidden over here in the woods. Now, as for the Lizardmen army, it's a large number of skink cohorts. This makes a fair bit of sense going up against the Wood Elves. I do believe Eternal Guard are probably a better unit, all in all. But for the cost, the Skinks are quick. They can chase down archers. They do have rudimentary shields. And they're decent against stuff like Eternal Guard. They're not going to be fantastic against something like Dryads, which does more damage and is slightly more well-armored. But in either case, a pretty good pick. There is a line of Skink cohorts with Javelins behind them, and then for the meat of the army in the rear, there are the Star Chamber Guardians. Now remember, this is a very tough unit of Temple Guards here that's going to have the Guardian capability, meaning that if there is a single unit Lord or Hero nearby, they will give it some physical resistance. There are 2 Bastiladons with Solar Engines. These are a really good call because they give you more range than the Wood Elves have, and they cause quite a lot of damage to archers from range, and it prevents the ability for the Wood Elves to just run completely crazy with arrow spam. So over here we're going to have a Skink Priest, Lore of Heavens, hidden amongst the Legion of Chakwa along with Gor Rok, and then there's also a Saurus Scar Veteran, so a decent leadership component here as well. Way in the back hidden are 2 Feral Cold Ones. Let's see how this battle plays out. It's going to be an interesting one. There's a lot of Lizardmen here for the Wood Elves to kill, and there's quite a few Wood Elves for the Lizardmen to kill. The Lizardmen actually have the ranged advantage here when you consider just 2 archers up against these Bastiladons, which can fire from much larger range. So, and only one of the Wood Elf archers is an armor-piercing variant. So definitely a ranged advantage goes to Lizardmen here, and I think that was a good pick. Infantry advantage probably goes slightly in favor of the Lizardmen, mostly because of their rear line here. The Skinks, not so much. Sorry, Skinks. No hate on you. I love Skinks, but just is what it is. So the Sisters of the Thorn are going to be used to do a little bit of melee damage first. Never a bad idea. They do a lot of damage on the charge. They get some protection, though. This unit took quite a bit of damage in return, but look what it did to that poor Skinky. 21 kills. Not a bad call. And it gets a good fight started there. They're going to see a Wind Blast come in here from the Skink Priest. That was pretty nicely placed. It hurt their own troops, but it did a lot of damage to the Wood Elves as well. But a break in the Lizardmen lines is going to send this Bastiladon skittering for cover, while the Legion of Chakwa comes up to fill the void, and they are supported by the Great White Lizard, whom you all have been quite familiar with in my campaign. Speaking of which, it will be returning soon, so keep an eye out. The Bastiladons with Solar Engines have been put to good use here. You can see they've done a lot of damage to this Glade Guard over here, but all of a sudden they're interested in both Durthu and the Feral Manticore. I kind of feel like they should have kept their focus over on the archers a little more, but we'll see how this turns out. they did do some damage to the archers along the way, but now the archers kind of have free reign back here. So Durthu's moved in, the Feral Manticore has caught one of these, the Stylodons kind of held it in place. You can see the Azray Spear coming in to support Durthu, and then Eternal Guard and Dryads have also broken through the Skink cohort in this vicinity, though now the Star Chamber Guardians come into play. This is a beastly infantry unit for the Wood Elves to kill right now. It will not be done easily. Another well-placed Wind Blast here is going to do a decent bit of damage, so the Skink Priest, Lord of Heaven's, actually really pulling his weight so far, and he doesn't weigh much, but he's pulling more than that. So we got the Branch Wraith here in the center as well. Primordial Pendulum is pretty expensive. It works good, but it's expensive, so only in this scenario where there's a good concentration do you want to use that Pendulum, and I believe that was a good use. An expensive unit like the Legion of Chakwa, a lot of damage done. I think definitely a fair use of the Winds of Magic. Now the Skink Priest has been routed, and he may have to try and get back into the battle. There are quite a few Skinks kind of holding around here in the backline, some of which still have their Javelins, so potential to do quite a bit of damage. Over here, the Feral Cold Ones have been berserked by the Sisters of the Thorn. They're going to come into melee with them. I would assume the Sisters of the Thorn do well here because of their physical resistance, though I could be wrong. I'm going to see here that the Scar Veteran is all the way in the back fighting the Branch Wraith. Not quite sure how he got back there completely alone. We do have the archers here firing away. I don't know what their target is right now. Looks like it's the Legion of Chakwa. If they shoot in the back, not a bad choice, but now you've got Shield of Aeons here, which is going to put extra armor on all these units. And here, Durthu is going to have a happy Javelin day, courtesy of the Skinks. I don't know if those Javelins are stick... Oh my gosh. Little laxative for him, too. Some solar engines straight up the tree rump. If that doesn't get that hard, barky excrement out, I don't know what will. This is an interesting fight here. I would think the Scar Veteran would be doing very, very well in this. He's got a bonus versus large. The Dryad, though, doesn't count as large. Wow. He's a pretty big character, but I guess not. So the Dryad's actually holding his ground quite well here versus the Scar Veteran. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty impressive work going on by the Branch Wraith. I may have accidentally said Dryad there, I realized, but yeah, it's a Branch Wraith. Let's check out this Bastillodon with Solar Engine, try and get you all some sweet views of the action here. Durthu being shot at in the background. He has a pretty big problem going on here, though he is going to be able to use, I believe that was a Sword of Daith. Yep, he's able to do damage to all the infantry that was around him, though the Legion of Chakwa just managed to get away. They're chasing the Wardens of Sithral, who wish to finish off the Bastillodon, and I don't blame them. That is indeed a high priority target for them. There is some fighting going on back here in the woods, some Eternal Guard chasing Skinks and Feral Cold Ones, and then over here there was the same Sisters of the Thorn. Ooh, their physical resistance won't help them against that Iran's Thunderbolt. So nice call by the Skink Priest, who has been pretty handy in this fight. And now we've got a 1v1 going between Gor Rok and Durthu. Gor Rok deals more damage, and I also believe he has higher melee defense, though I believe the armor goes to Durthu at 110. Yeah, just barely. Yeah, 60 melee defense versus 48. Yeah, Durthu... actually, Durthu has more weapon damage. My bad. Unless he has a particular buff going right now. Yeah, Durthu has just a hair their edge on weapon damage. I also don't know... His attacks look to me to be some type of splashing attack. I don't know if that's really the case here or not, but it certainly appears to be the way that he swings at everything. So Durthu now surrounded. There's a Bastillodon in here. There's a whole bunch of Skinks. And he has limited support from his own troops. His hit points are beginning to get low, but it looks like the Branch Wraith, having won its fight against the Scar Veteran, wanted a piece of Gor Rok along with Durthu, and the two of them charge him together. But Gor Rok goes off with Shields of Aeon, Mask of Ulamak, or Mace of Ulamak, and Harmonic Conversions all at once, and it makes Gor Rok a super tank, and he starts surviving and dishing massive damage in return. So even though he got down to 400 hit points, he managed to put an absolute beating down on Durthu. However, he is outmatched, and the King of the Woods puts him down. So Durthu slays Gor Rok in the fight. An epic last stand by Gor Rok, though, so now there is no leadership units left, unless that skinky priest is still running around. I don't believe he is. Yeah, he's running away over here. He did come back from routing. Got Eternal Guard back here, got a Branch Wraith, got Durthu. This is going to be a interesting challenge. You may think that, well, the Wood Elves have this easily at this point. The leadership of the Lizardmen is dead. That would be true were it not for the Star Chamber Guardian. This unit is immune to terror, and it is going to be a very tough unit indeed. So either team could take this home at this point, despite the power bar being heavily in favor of the Wood Elves. I think it depends on a lot of factors. There's a fair number of skinks that could come back from routing. The Scar Veteran is well and truly gone at this point. There's a lot of flickering going on in this map. Notice like a lot of weird light flickering. I don't know if it's just this map or something going wrong with that game. Look back here. Bastiladon with Solar Engine came back from routing. Could not be a more opportune moment, and Durthu used to be a tree like you until he took a Solar Engine to the knee. I know, that lame joke is still alive as long as I am, folks, so you're gonna have to deal with it. So Durthu gets into the Star Chamber Guardians, looking to cause a rout, but again, their leadership is quite strong. Durthu is bound to take some big damage, so he's gonna step away from that fight, let the Branch Wraith step in, and he's going to turn around and try and finish off the Skink cohort, which is a lot less capable against his armor and large Hulk. There is a lot of Wood Elf support, and look at that, a just brutal shot from the Solar Engine. And that Solar Engine, I'm trying to remember, yeah, it is flaming ammunition, and Durthu does have fire weakness, so he is going to be particularly vulnerable to that stuff, so a nice pick. A nice pick. So at this point, it looks like the Lizardmen going to easily be able to wrap this up, because now they're Star Chamber Guardians and the Skink cohorts swarming the poor Branch Wraith. But there's a little bit of infantry making its way back into the battlefield here. Some Eternal Guards, some Dryads, and old Durthu decided to stop routing, though he is not out of the woods yet. How do you ever get out of the woods when you're Durthu? That was kind of a pun intended moment, right? Woo! That was a close one, folks. That was a close one. I don't know what Durthu's doing right now. It's like doing some kind of crazy Tosa shuffle. He decides to rout instead, that near miss. And because of that, the Bastiladon decides to change its target and fire elsewhere. Let's see where he chooses that target. Looks like it's going to be coming across the middle. Oh, it was a shot at the Branch Wraith, maybe? But it hits the Dryads and shatters them. So let's take a look at the ammo left here. There's only going to be 4 shots left on the Bastiladon. Durthu came back from routing again. 522 hit points. Eternal Guard, remember, decent against armor. Not fantastic, because they themselves have very little staying power, but not a bad unit. All said and done. They will cause a little damage. But since they've got a lot of skinks in there with the Temple Guard, it won't be as effective, maybe, as if they were head-to-head. But still not a bad unit to have on your side at this juncture of the game. These skinks are going to be able to run down the Eternal Guard. Remember, they're aquatic, too. So they will continue to move fast in these marshy environments. Definitely an advantage for them that you don't see working to his advantage very helpful. Look at that. Durthu is hiding behind a tree. Literally trying to get in behind the tree. And for whatever reason, the Bastiladon routes. It's gone. So Durthu is in the clear. He got a one last little Earthblood, and he's going to come try and support his troops. These Eternal Guard are fighting like champs, and this one is doing quite well and actually winning the battle at the moment against the Skink cohort. Let's swing over here. Here comes the Branch Wraith looking to get in behind the Lizardmen troops. The Lizardmen troops are going to turn on the Branch Wraith and focus him rather than the Eternal Guard. Probably not a bad call. Branch Wraith is going to get absolutely mobbed, but here comes Durthu to try and rescue the day. His uses of Sword of Death are spent, and I believe the Winds of Magic are spent at this point, but Durthu does cause good damage versus infantry. However, his hit points are incredibly low, and you can't terrorize the Star Chamber Guardians. And so it is Durthu who takes the worst of that engagement and actually steers away. If the Skinks, no, they're terror routing right there because of what happened with Durthu. They should be coming back, I would assume. Yeah, it was Durthu who terror routed those Skinks. Look at this skink cohort, holding out for a very long time. They're actually doing a spectacular job over there for the Lizardmen. And this fight, again, way back in favor of the Wood Elves at this point. But that's an interesting idea that it's in favor of the Wood Elves. This Branch Wraith doesn't do, like, a high amount of armor-piercing damage. He's not a particularly tough melee character. He's not bad, but he's not fantastic at it either. And I feel like this is an interesting setup. Like, I don't expect the Branch Wraith to win this fight, but the power bar thought he would. And then all of a sudden, the power bar flips back into the middle. And then I'm looking around at the units here. Okay, there's some Eternal Guard here, but there's only 15 of them. These ones have routed. Branch Wraith is gone. Durthu's still here. He can get a good charge in. Depends on if they can rout the Star Chamber Guardians. Their leadership is holding steady, albeit not high. So you can see the Branch Wraith hoping to get away here and combine arms with Durthu. They would be best off to combine arms with the Eternal Guard as well. This skink is no doubt going to come back from routing as it's no longer pressured by the Eternal Guard, and I expect that to happen at near any moment. We will see, though. Perhaps not. Yep, there it is. So here's what's left. I don't think the Dryad can run away. And that is one last Earthblood there, and that's going to be potentially a big deal. And you can see it swings the power bar all the way up. The Skinks take the charge from Durthu and allow the Star Chamber Guardians to get their own charge, and they start cutting down the tree rather quickly. This is a very close fight, folks, and it can swing literally just about any way at this moment. Down goes Durthu. Game over, right? Well, the power bar doesn't think so. Power bar doesn't think so. Look, Star Chamber Guardians look like they're basically gone, but that's still 21 unit models in there. So unless the Branch Wraith starts taking them out fast, then the Branch Wraith's in trouble. And indeed, you're seeing the Branch Wraith waver right now. But look at that power bar, it stays up there. And then you can see now, starting to inch back towards the middle. This battle just keeps swinging back and forth, and here comes some Eternal Guard. Can they help finish it? The Skinks rout again, a little bit of armor piercing here, the support of the Branch Wraith, now surrounding the Star Chamber Guardians. The Star Chamber Guardians begin to waver, they're down to 10 unit models, but then the Eternal Guard gives in, and that leaves once again the Branch Wraith up against 10 Star Chamber Guardians. And then guess who's back? The Skinks. And now the power bar finally sours against the Wood Elves, who are finally defeated. Holy smokes, folks. The back and forth there was incredible. This is a fantastic, fun battle between Dogplays and Dutch Skink, and I really appreciate it being sent in. Thank you, Dov, and thank you, Dutch Skink. What a battle. Two fun armies here, too. Let's talk about some of the things that I liked from both armies, and maybe then we'll talk about some things that, I don't know if I would say I didn't like, but maybe things that could have gone better. So things I like from both armies. Durthu, interesting pick here. He's kind of big and tanky. He can summon the two Manticores. He gets healed by the Branch Wraith. A little bit of damage from the Branch Wraith and Durthu between Sword of Death, Pendulum. So that's kind of your infantry busting potential there. Mobility. You get a little bit of mobility with the summoned Manticore. And then the Sisters of the Thorn, kind of a specialty unit. You know, its bound spells kind of have a value in and of themselves, and then it has a little bit of physical resistance. Anti-large in the form of 5 Eternal Guard, Wardens of Sithral, and War Dancers, so quite a bit of anti-large potential here. Little bit of range component, so as to not leave them completely undone by range, and then the Dryads for damage dealing. So a nice composition from the Wood Elves overall. I think that really like the way that army was put together. Now, the main thing I really like from the Lizardmen here was the Bastillodon with the Solar Engine. These can be risky if you get enough Way Watchers to pop into range, and the Way Watchers absolutely take a dump on your Bastillodon because they can with the combination of Prey of Anathema. However, it's a risk. The Bastillodons do cause quite a bit of damage to archers at range, especially the more tightly packed they are. So I think this is a good choice against your standard run-of-the-mill archers that you could see from the Wood Elves. Plus, it means that the Wood Elves are going to have to respect you from range, and they can't just sit back and pick you apart. The addition of a lot of Skinks here gives you a lot of shields and a lot of extra bodies to throw in. And then the Skink cohort with Javelin, I think they're particularly good against skirmishy type builds from the Wood Elves because they're fast and they have their own Javelins to return fire. Good also against missile cavalry in some ways. So I think it's a good pick. But yeah, the biggest thing I liked here was the Distillodons with the Solar Engine and the Star Chamber Guardians. When it comes down to it, if the Star Chamber Guardians live in a fight against the Wood Elves until late in combat, it's probably bad news for the Wood Elves because they don't have a lot of answers to this outside of missile fire or very well directed magic. And so with this unit surviving so late into combat, it became a real force there in the end. Gor Rok, a fun pick. He is pretty immune to a lot of the skirmishing tactics of the Wood Elves, and then combined with the Legion of Chakwa, again, a very nice move there. So I hope this was a good showing of the Wood Elves and the Lizardmen for you all. I really appreciate Domb and Dutch Skink. I will be playing some more Wood Elves battle myself as soon as I have a chance this week, so be patient. I'm going to be hopping back into it. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. Hope to see you all soon.